All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're going to play detective. We've got this fantastic little mystery written by Phil Moreland, and it's our job to crack the case. So, let's open up this case file and see what we're up against.
And boom, we are thrown right into the middle of it. You can almost picture it, right? The flashing lights, the sudden noise. Something is definitely wrong. An alarm is blaring in a place you'd least expect it. A crime has just been reported.
So, there it is, the heart of the matter. Someone set the alarm off. It seems like a small thing, but it completely shatters the peace of this care home. This isn't just some kid pulling a prank. It feels deliberate, which, of course, leads us to the big questions. Who did it? And maybe more importantly, why?
Okay, let's get our detective hats on for real now. Before we jump to any conclusions or start pointing fingers, we've got to lay down the groundwork. Just the facts. Every good investigation starts there.
So here's what we have so far. The crime scene, a care home. The time, 12 p.m. sharp. High noon. Kind of dramatic, right? That feels significant. Is it just a random time or is there something to it? We're going to tuck that little detail away for later.
And this is where our storyteller takes center stage. He's not just telling us the story anymore, he is the story. He becomes the inspector. And that changes the whole game. He's the one we're following, our eyes and ears on the ground, trying to figure this whole thing out.
Of course, every mystery needs its suspects, right? And in a great twist, the inspector realizes the call is coming from inside the house, so to speak. The culprit has to be one of his own support staff. Everyone is a suspect. So, let's line them up.
First up, we've got Debbie. Now, a couple of things about her catch the inspector's eye right away. She has a mark on her finger. Could that be from pushing a button? Maybe. And then there's this suspicious smile. Now, what does that mean? Is she guilty or just finding the whole situation funny? Very interesting.
Okay, next we have Emery. With him, it's all about the timing. Apparently, he ducked out a little bit earlier than he was supposed to. Now look, that could mean absolutely nothing, or it could mean everything. When someone breaks their routine during a crime, you've got to pull on that thread.
Ooh, okay. Now this is where things get really juicy. We might have a conspiracy on our hands with Tina and Haley. Get this, they've been passing hidden messages to each other, on a wall and in texts. This suddenly feels like a lot more than just setting off an alarm. This feels coordinated. What in the world are these two up to?
And we've got Greg. The only clue we have for him is pretty vague. He was acting suspicious. But this is what's so cool about our inspector. He doesn't just see a guy acting weird. No, his mind spins this whole elaborate theory. Maybe Greg poisoned a drink to create a distraction for the alarm. You gotta wonder, is the inspector's imagination running wild, or is he actually on to something huge? All right, some good news for at least one person. We can cross a name off our list. Chris is in the clear. He's got a rock-solid alibi. He wasn't even there. He was off shift. So, one down. That lets our inspector really zero in on everyone else.
So, the first round of questioning is over. We have our cast of characters. Now the real police work starts. The inspector is piecing it all together. But just when he thinks he's getting close, this case is about to take a massive turn.
And then, out of nowhere, wham, we get a confession. Emery steps up and says, "I did it." Case closed, right? Pack it up, let's go home. But wait a minute. That seems a little too easy, doesn't it? Any good detective knows that sometimes the first confession is the biggest lie of all.
And here's the twist, laid out plain and simple. You have Emery's confession on one hand, but the truth? The truth is he was covering for Debbie. He was taking the fall for her. His whole confession was just a distraction, a way to send the inspector chasing his tail. And just like that, we're right back where we started.
So our inspector knows he's been had. He was played. But does he get angry? Nope. He gets focused. He's done listening to people talk. Words can lie. Now he's looking for things that can't lie. Physical evidence. Things people do without realizing it. This is it. The final breakthrough.
And his attention snaps right back to Debbie. But this time, he sees something he didn't see before. It's not about what she's saying. It's what her body is doing. Her knees, they're shaking. You know that feeling, right? That classic sign of pure nervousness. She can keep her mouth shut, but her body is practically screaming, "I'm hiding something." And then, jackpot. The
The physical clues start popping up. There's a bike in the driveway that shouldn't be there, but here's the kicker. A pair of gloves, just left there, and they're pointing right at the alarm. That's not just a clue, folks. That is what you call a smoking gun.
So let's walk through this, just like the inspector did in his head. First, he clocks Debbie's shaking knees. She's nervous. Second, he finds the bike and the gloves. Third, the gloves are basically a big arrow pointing at the scene of the crime. And fourth, he connects it all. The nervous energy, the misplaced items, it all leads to one person. It's Debbie.
All those tangled threads, the red herrings, the weird clues, they finally come together and make a clear picture. Our inspector has his culprit. It is, without a doubt, time to close this case. And this is the final checkmate. The inspector gets on the phone with Debbie, and he hits her with the one thing she absolutely cannot deny. I found your fingerprints on the alarm button. Boom. You can't argue with that. Game, set, match.
So what's the punishment for a crime like this? Well, it's just as creative as the story itself. Debbie gets sentenced to, get this, reviewing fire alarm safety, plus some time alone in a small room with only bread and water. As the inspector puts it, you won't have any fun for a bit. A perfect, kind of funny end to this whole mystery, right?
And just like that, the case of the care home alarm is closed. What a fun, clever little story, all created by the brilliant mind of Phil Moreland.
So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. What was the real breakthrough here? Was it the hard evidence, the fingerprints? Or was it that human element, seeing Debbie's shaking knees? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a really good mystery, what's more important? The clue you can see and touch, or the one you just feel?